Hey, everybody, welcome to Did You Hear About This? I'm Bill.
I am Scott.
Scott, what are we talking about today?
The Mona Lisa.
The Mona Lisa.
Yes.
I don't know a whole lot about the Mona Lisa. I just know she kind of looks at me with that grin.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what she's grinning about.
That doomy grin.
Kind of disconcerting. It's a little bit weird.
She knows something.
Is she real?
Yes. I have some history about this. So up until 1911, nobody really knew who the Mona Lisa was.
I actually never knew it was an actual figure. I just figured it was a painting of a person.
There were a lot of rumors going around that it was actually an exercise from Da Vinci where he painted himself as a female. That was a rumor going around for a while.
What? I didn't know that.
Yeah. But not true. They actually found out who it was.
See, I missed all this in school. In art history class, I got the hell out of it. Art history for me was the most boring class I took in college.
Yeah.
I couldn't wrap my head around it. I love art, but the study of it.
So I always went music history, but I had to do my electives. Music history was the way I went.
Yeah, I did that too.
You know, jazz and all the way up through, it was American music history specifically.
Have you ever seen the Mona Lisa? Have you gone?
No. But it is hanging in the Louvre over in Paris, France.
Have you ever gone to Paris?
I've never owned a passport.
Have you ever left Pennsylvania?
Yeah, I've been to Canada, but I didn't need a passport back then. So I went to French Light.
Yeah, that's right.
But you know what? With me having not been there, the Louvre is the world's most visited museum.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I have numbers here. In 2023, nearly 9 million people visited the Louvre, which equals out to be almost 24,000 people a day.
Everybody but us seems to have gone to the Louvre.
Apparently so. And the crazy thing is, only 32% of the people that went to the Louvre in 2023 were actually French citizens. So that means 68% of those people are actually international travelers. And of those going, 90% of those people said, oh, we're here to see Mona Lisa.
Oh, wow. Well, listen, I don't have anything to really bring outside of this story. There's no mailbag. There's no mistakes. We were flawless again.
I doubt that, but...
So let me just remind everybody, you're listening to this and your fee to listen to this is to like and subscribe and share it with your friends. Don't forget to do that, or I got to keep nagging you every episode. But I'm intrigued by this. I say we just jump in and talk about this.
So this popped up, and the reason it became a subject for me to talk about was the Louvre actually just changed where they're housing the Mona Lisa. They gave it its own standalone gallery that you can get to without actually having to enter the main museum. And because so many people are interested in going there just to see the Mona Lisa, it's almost like the rock star of the museum. So all these snobbish, fine art fans are bothered by the boisterous, loudy people that are just here to see the Mona Lisa. We want to see our fine art in peace. So they actually have a basement entrance you can go to just to see the Mona Lisa and then get out. But you're never actually in the main part of the Louvre.
Wait a minute. What are you telling me here?
Yeah, they just made this change.
So what's it normally? It's just a big sea of people all being let in to stare at this thing?
Raucous sea of people coming in to see. Yeah. People run through the museum and they just want to see the Mona Lisa. They see it. And okay, let's go eat some baguettes.
Are you allowed to take pictures of it?
That I don't know.
I've seen the few times I've gone to a museum, because they usually don't let me in. They say, hey, too stupid, that guy can't. But the few times that I've gone in, I've always noticed they don't let you take any photos.
Yeah.
And I'm not a big social media guy, but I don't remember ever seeing anybody with a picture of the Mona Lisa.
People will take selfies with it in the background. Whether you're supposed to or not, I don't know. But they should be patting people down for super glue now with all these freaking activists gluing themselves to famous works of art and shit like that.
Oh, yeah. That's actually where my mind went. If they're going to let so many people in, what's going to happen when somebody comes in with a can of paint and decides that?
Well, it's behind 6-inch bulletproof glass.
In case somebody wants to shoot it. See, they're thinking ahead.
I don't know if it's with a gun or if it's just to protect it from everything else, but it's behind 6 inches of bulletproof glass.
The world's crazy enough now that somebody will probably want to shoot the Mona Lisa at some point soon.
Well, these people here at the Louvre, they certainly know what the hell they're doing. They're certainly attracting more visitors than any other museum on this globe of ours. And it's also been featured in several successful motion pictures, including 2017's Wonder Woman.
I don't remember it in that.
She was the curator at the Louvre.
Oh.
Remember?
Barely.
Diana was working at the museum.
Does anybody remember that movie?
I did when I read it on IMDb.
Does anybody remember there's a sequel? Man, those movies came so quick and vanished so fast.
Here's one that didn't. 1985's National Lampoon's European Vacation.
I don't remember them going to the Louvre.
They got there 15 minutes before closing, and they did like a very quick photo montage where they're like going around from like exhibit to exhibit to exhibit. They actually showed the Mona Lisa.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And 2006's The Da Vinci Code.
Yeah,
That's
I knew
the
that
primary
would be
one I
yeah,
thought of.
Yeah, I knew that
sure.
would be on the list. I never saw that movie.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know what it's about, really.
It's about Da Vinci. And so Da Vinci is really my jumping off point here, and really what I want to get to talk about here. Like I said, his creation, the Mona Lisa, the most popular resident of the Louvre, without a doubt. Arguably the world's most famous painting. Like I said, 90% of those 9 million visitors, they were there specifically just to see Mona Lisa.
It's not the most interesting painting in the world.
Well, it wasn't always, like I said, it wasn't always the most famous painting at all. And it really only became famous in 1911 when it was stolen by a Italian maintenance man from the museum.
Really?
Yeah.
The janitor stole the Mona Lisa.
So the history of the Mona Lisa, it's believed that Da Vinci painted this between 1503 and 1519. And a lot of people are like, well, why did it take 16 years to finish a painting, right? Da Vinci, he was a genius. He was an inventor. He was an architect. He was, an engineer. He was a very flighty person. And everything I read and watched, and I did a couple of deep dives on some documentaries and some articles on him, he wasn't always happy to have a paintbrush. Sometimes having a paintbrush and doing artwork was just a way for him to make a quick buck.
So that was his main profession, probably, to make money.
I guess, but it wasn't always his main passion. Sometimes it was like a hindrance to have to paint.
Well, us artists, we don't like to have to do stuff. We like to want to do stuff
Right.
when it's time to do stuff because we're inspired.
That's absolutely right. Well, it was a commissioned piece, and the woman is believed to be, and my apologies ahead of time, Elisa Gerardini. So she was the wife of a silk merchant, Francesco del Giocondo. Now, Giocondo paid Da Vinci to do the painting, but there's actually no record of the contracted amount or even proof that the contract was fulfilled. There's no proof of delivery that Da Vinci ever gave the photo to Giocondo.
So this could all be nonsense.
It could be. And the first thing I thought was like, well, yeah, this happened in the 1500s. No shit, there's no written record of, here's your receipt and here's your change and here we go. No, apparently they kept very, very serious records because this all went down in Florence, Italy, and Florence was like the birthplace of the Renaissance. So they kept records of everything.
So how does it end up from, I got a lot of questions. How do you get on Da Vinci's radar in the first place? You can't send him an email and say, hey, I want you to do my self-portrait. So this was done in Italy. This is done because an Italian said, hey, I want you to paint my picture.
Yeah.
How did it end up all the way in France?
I don't know. I really don't know.
Because things are very regional in those days. I mean, everything.
Sure.
Yeah, but it traveled pretty far.
And they said that the fact that he actually painted this woman's photo was kind of out of character because he was painting like photos of aristocrats and royalty and things like that. So the fact that this silk merchant wanted to have his wife's photo painted, like, who the hell is she?
Yeah.
Huh?
We'll never know.
We may never know. It got there somehow. How? Didn't come up in my research. All my research was, it's in the Louvre. And it was in the Louvre until 1911.
But it was stolen by the janitor.
Not just the janitor, but to your point, he was an Italian janitor. I'm sorry, he wasn't actually a janitor. He was a handyman by the name of Vincento Perugia.
You're good with names. You know how bad I am. Remember last episode.
And for 2 years, it was missing until they found it in 1913 in Florence, Italy. So this Italian handyman swiped it from the Louvre at nighttime. They say he carried it right out the front door the following morning under his arm, and it ends up back in Florence. So this whole painting becomes a huge French versus Italian war.
That's how you steal things. That's how you do it. You walk into a place, broad daylight, doesn't matter.
You're supposed to be there.
You act like you're supposed to be there. I always heard this story about two guys that stole a kayak out of Dick's Sporting Goods. Yeah. You walk in, you just grab the kayak. The first guy is in the front, the second guy's in the back. You walk out, and nobody thinks anybody's got the balls to go and steal a kayak in broad daylight. That's how you steal stuff, everybody.
You know who I learned this from? The Grinch Who Stole Christmas. I'm just here to repair your broken Christmas tree. I'm taking it back to my Christmas shop. So now here's where things get weird. When they find this painting in 2013, they actually find two Mona Lisas.
What do you mean?
They found the Mona Lisa that's hanging in the Louvre right now, and they also found another painting. So the Mona Lisa is painted on wood. It's painted on like a sheet of poplar wood. They also found this other painting of the same woman, but she looks much younger, a lot more colorful, and the background of the painting is unfinished.
Wait a minute. Oh, wait. Is this like somebody just did like a wannabe copy? Or does Da Vinci maybe go, paint something and go, I don't like it, let me do it again?
Well, there's a lot of different theories about that. They've gone so far as to take multiple x-rays. And here's the thing. Some people say that Da Vinci wouldn't have painted on canvas because he didn't like painting on canvas. He painted primarily on wood. But in one of his journals, he has an entire section devoted to how to paint on canvas. So it's not that he never did. They're thinking maybe he was just trying it.
And to paint somebody twice, wouldn't the person have to sit in front of you?
No. So having multiple paintings isn't all that unusual. In the Renaissance, these master artists oftentimes ran studios or schools where they would have these students who were like their disciples. And they would study their techniques. They would mix their pigments. They would sometimes even complete portions of their paintings or even entire copies of their paintings and their brush strokes so they can learn from the masters.
Okay.
So another theory is that maybe one of his students painted this copy.
Interesting. Have you seen the copy?
I have. It actually looks better than the original.
Really?
Yeah.
Can you tell at all if it's similar enough to be the same artist, or does it look pretty different?
Not only does it look to be the same, they actually ran it through like spectroscopes and things like that, and they say that the brush strokes, the blending of the colors, the layering, it's within like a 99.8% chance that it was painted by the same person.
Interesting.
So now the question comes down to, did Da Vinci paint both of these? Or is this one, as well as the one that they hang in the Louvre as the original, both fake? Are they both imposters?
There could be a third or fourth or fifth or sixth copy out there.
Not only could there be, it may be right here in our own backyard in Pennsylvania.
What are you talking about now?
Yes.
A Pennsylvania janitor probably went in, stole it, said it's coming back home with me.
So rumors have swirled for years that a long-lost version of the Mona Lisa, possibly another workshop copy or even a Da Vinci original, maybe in a private collection or a forgotten attic right here in York County, Pennsylvania. Some claim it was brought here by European collectors in the early 20th century, hidden away, misidentified, or they may just think it's like another Renaissance-era portrait, like another forgery. But it could be right here in the United States, the original. So can you imagine if 9 billion people are lining up to see the Mona Lisa in France and it's not even the real deal?
And meanwhile, it's just sitting in somebody's attic in York, Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
That's incredible. There's no way that could be true.
I mean, experts have yet to confirm anything, but the idea certainly remains tantalizing that if such a painting exists, or, what could it tell us about his process? What could it tell us if it's truly a Da Vinci painting? I mean, he was like the master. He did the Last Supper. He did Vitruvian Man. He did so many famous paintings that, to have this one that everybody focuses on Mona Lisa. And like I said, before 1911, nobody knew who the hell she was. Then she goes missing in this robbery, and it's just like, oh my God, she's front page everywhere.
I thought the reason the painting was so popular is because it was one of the first ones with good perspectives, right? Before, and that's one thing Da Vinci's really known for, having incredible perspectives. People were painting things in the past, and the heads weren't to scale to the rest of the body. People didn't quite get it, or they were being abstract. And then suddenly there's this realistic Mona Lisa that almost looks like a photograph.
Yeah, and that's the one wild thing. The proportions of the forgery, and the forgery does have a name. It's called the Isleworth Mona Lisa, the forgery, or the newer, younger, incomplete one. Her and the one in the Louvre have 100% shot for shot identical proportions from where the eyes are placed, the head, everything is identical. The Isleworth Mona Lisa border, like the canvas itself, is much larger than what the one in the Louvre is, the wooden one.
Maybe it's just like a color by numbers type thing.
It is funny because in the background of the unfinished one, there's like clearly what's supposed to be like a meadow and some trees, and it's just like black where they didn't paint it in, so it would be like color by number.
I've got a Mona Lisa down here.
You do?
Yeah, you pass it every time you come down to the stairs.
She's topless with titty tassels.
I wasn't I wasn't going to mention that one, but yes, I have that thanks to my friend Jen. But I also have a famous Frank Zappa.
Yeah, dressed.
Yeah, dresses painted up as the Mona Lisa.
Yeah. So there are other versions of the Mona Lisa out there. I don't believe either of those that you have were painted by Da Vinci, or there are the long lost copies.
Well, that's my hope. My hope is I'm the guy who has it, and the original one was an R-rated version.
Yeah. He never gave it to the silk merchant because he drew her topless
with tassels.
But I always love when you read these stories about somebody that goes to like Goodwill and buys an old ugly ass painting just because they like the frame, and they take it out and there's like a Renaissance painting in the background, or like an original copy of the Declaration of Independence, or some crazy shit like that. Like we see that all the time.
I never have that luck.
Me neither.
I've heard about people going to like yard sales and they come home with like original tapes from like the Beatles, Please Please Me recordings. Like what? And I'm like, no, I don't get anything. I get crap. I get junk. I'd like watching the Antique Roadshow sometimes because they all think they might have some treasure.
They're like, sorry, it's fake.
Yeah, you don't got the Mona Lisa.
Yeah, no. So I thought this was interesting. A little bit more historical and a little bit more fine artsy than we usually talk about. But yeah, I was wondering if you heard about this.
I had not heard about that.
So you said you never saw Da Vinci Code?
No, I know it's about a conspiracy related to Da Vinci.
It's kind of a couple different things. One, there's like a modern day murder where somebody gets murdered in the Louvre. And then there's like a whole other conspiracy thing where Da Vinci hid secret meanings and messages inside of his artworks.
Well, that's where I thought you were going to go with this. I was like,
no.
there might be hidden things written on her forehead. I don't know.
Like this is going to be like a, what's that one with Nicolas Cage?
Treasure?
National Treasure?
Yeah.
Like it's going to be a National Treasure hunt? No, nothing like that. But that is kind of where Dan Brown takes the Da Vinci Code in his book.
So what's that about?
Again, it's like a modern day murder, and Tom Hanks plays a cryptologist where he's really good at deciphering codes and things like that. And there's all kind, and it even goes back into like Jesus not being an only child, and there being like descendants of Jesus' bloodline, and it goes crazy off the rails. But there's layers to the whole thing.
Sounds like a giant conspiracy theory.
It's what it is.
It's one of the earliest written conspiracy theories.
It's a good book, though.
Is it a good movie?
It's a good movie too. Yeah. When I was reading about all this and like the forgeries and the art thievery, I kept thinking about the Thomas Crown affair with Pierce Brosnan.
I never saw that.
You never saw it?
No.
It was kind of along the same lines as this, but
I like the idea that some handyman is just like, I'm going to take this and nobody's going to stop me. That is so brazen.
Yeah, and I thought, okay, you walk in, you cut it out of the frame, you roll it up, it's a canvas. This whole thing is like a solid piece of wood.
A block of wood.
He wrapped it up in a blanket, stuck it under his arm, and walked out like he was supposed to.
That's great. That's great. That's how you steal stuff.
Confidence is everything.
That's what we've taught people today. Confidence is everything.
So yeah, I hopefully I hit all the bases there. I know the gist of the story is 100% accurate. The dates are accurate, but there's so many different thoughts about where these paintings came from, who created these paintings, which one's the original painting. I mean, there's so many conspiracies out there. It was hard to like keep track without going down all these different rabbit holes. I only have so much time to devote to this shit, but it was kind of funny that the whole idea that the French were trying to save face by putting like a forgery up there and passing it off as the real deal. I was like, if I made the pilgrimage over to see this painting, this masterpiece work of art, priceless thing, and And I found out that like, oh yeah, you saw a knockoff. Like, well, shit, I could have went to Bill's house and saw the titty one for that.
Yeah, that's right. I don't charge anything.
Also, one sold at auction that was known to be a forgery, and even the forgery sold for $30 million.
What are you talking about?
Yeah, they sold the forgery of it for $30 million because some people still believe it may be, if not a Da Vinci work of his own, at least one from his school.
Oh, okay. One from his school, so as old.
As old as, yeah.
So
The 1500s, I mean, anything painted in the Renaissance, like in the actual Renaissance, that's going to carry a hefty price tag, you know?
I was going to say, I'll paint one right now and sell it for half that, but it won't be from the Renaissance.
No, it will not. It will not. The other thing, that canvas I said that the other one was painted on, the canvas does date back. It's actually carbon dated to the actual times, like the actual time frame.
Yeah, this is the time where there was not a lot of record keeping, like all of this. How does
See,
anybody
that's what
know
I thought
anything?
too. But that's what I thought too. But apparently, Florence, they had records for everything, and that was maybe the most shocking thing I learned from doing this whole story.
I want to know more about why people think it's a self-portrait.
Oh yeah, that was weird.
What? Tell me about that.
That's about all I know about it. I know that was floated out there. They maybe even talked about that in the Da Vinci Code.
Does it look like Da Vinci? Does she look like Da Vinci?
No, but they were saying about like something about the profile and something about the proportions. I forget. It's been a bit. Like I said, this all just talked about. It seems to be a very well accepted thing that it's this woman that was the silk merchant's wife.
I think I'm going to believe it was a self-portrait.
Yeah?
I'm going to choose to believe that, because why not? Because that's why she's smirking like, tee-hee-hee, they don't know it's me.
That's the secret she's keeping, huh?
Sure.
So, that's Mona Lisa for you. What do you got going on?
Well, I got a story for you, sir.
All right.
Mine isn't as historical as yours, but mine stinks of conspiracy theories as well.
Oh.
Yeah. So I want to talk about the 80s. You know, that's where I still live in my mind.
All right. So, very much more recent than the 1500s and the 1911s. But sure, go ahead.
See, I wasn't very schooled,
It's
sir.
some real cohesion here to this one. This is really when we just bring shit and talk about it, and it has no connection to the other.
That's our show.
So what's happened in the 80s?
I want you to tell me, what are some of the earliest arcade games that you remember?
Pong, Asteroids, Centipede, Millipede.
How about 1981 specifically?
I was one.
You were one. How many arcade games do you remember when you were one?
We had the Atari 2600 when I was a kid, but I think I was at least 5 when I had that. And that was always just Pong.
So if I say things like Galaga,
Oh, I had Galaga.
how about Frogger? Do you remember
yeah.
that as an arcade game?
Yeah.
How about Defender?
Yes.
Donkey Kong?
Of course, Donkey Kong Jr. Yeah.
Zaxxon?
I never played Zaxxon.
Oh, I loved
It was a shooting.
Zaxxon.
It was like a spaceship shooting game.
And it had perspective. See, this is how we can tie it into your thing.
This was like going down a well.
It was going into almost like a space station, and you could go up and down.
Oh, this was a side scroller.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I have seen this.
Actually,
yeah.
might be one of the first side scrollers with perspective. Defender was a side scroller with a spaceship. It was kind of like Zaxxon Light.
Okay, yeah.
Tempest?
Tempest was when we were like going down a well. It was like going into the screen.
Yeah.
Yes.
That one was hard to watch. I saw kids playing that, and I was like, oh,
I got headaches from it. Yeah.
How about Centipede?
Yeah, that was Centipede and Millipede. Like I said, we had that.
Miss Pac-Man?
Yeah, and Pac-Man, of course.
Polybius?
I know where you're going. Was it real?
We're going to talk about a video game that was made for mind control. This is a complete urban legend. The game is called Polybius.
This was the CIA.
What do you know about this?
I know it was rumored that almost like Flight of the Navigator.
Oh, that movie?
Yeah.
I never saw that either.
So isn't that the one, or am I thinking of The Last Starfighter? The Last Starfighter, I guess I'm thinking of.
Oh, okay.
That was the one where space people were using a video game as a training thing to like see who they could have to lead their spaceships.
Right. If you're good at
yeah, that's the way I think it was with Polybius. It was like, here's this video game. We're going to use this to like subliminally train people to be assassins.
Maybe.
Okay.
All right. Well, we got to keep, in mind that this is an urban legend.
Sure.
I'm not saying that this is true. I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but this is a fun story. And as usual, I like to write these things up and read them terribly to you. So I'm going to do that.
write these up with difficult words you can't possibly say.
So in 1981, a mysterious arcade game named Polybius allegedly appeared in several suburbs of Portland, Oregon. It was a black arcade casing, like it just came in with...
Like the Men in Black delivered it.
We're getting there, yeah. So it's just this box, this black box with this game inside of it. According to legend, the game was so mesmerizing that it led to intense player addiction, with lines forming around the machines. The cabinet was just dropped into arcades, no logos, nothing on it. It was just this game, which wasn't uncommon. So apparently, in some markets,
Oh, yeah.
arcade games would just be dropped in like that without the boxes all, polished up and painted up.
Or they would reuse cabinets and just throw a new motherboard in there and boom, new game.
Yeah, default black cabinets for, testing purposes.
Right.
Keep in mind, this may have been one of those cases at the end of the day. This might be why people are having some memories of black video games.
Okay.
So the game supposedly just had numbers and letters floating around the screen. Like, nobody seems to remember what the game was. Nobody remembers how to play it. They just remember it was a lot of numbers and letters floating around, according to urban legend.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, I remember it being described as like a Tempest-like game where it was like that kind of perspective.
Where it sucks you in.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of what they were saying.
Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know anything about numbers and letters, though. That's interesting.
Players reportedly experienced severe side effects, Scott, including...
Nosebleeds and like migraine headaches?
You got it. Seizures, amnesia, night terrors,
Oh, man.
hallucinations, insomnia, all because they played this game. And here's the weird thing. In the past, there's stories of this actually happening. Kids would just play these arcade games, and these Tempest games, they can give you seizures. I'm sure if you stare at them long enough.
Sure.
I don't know how you get a seizure. What am I talking
Well,
about?
if you have epilepsy, I mean, flashing lights can cause seizure to come on. Yeah.
Remember that old Star Wars arcade game?
When it would blow up and like the whole screen would flash.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that.
Like, that has to be seizure inducing.
Could be.
So
Yeah.
maybe this thing, if it existed, maybe it was like that. So maybe that's what people are remembering. People playing this one singular black cased game, and it's just like Tempest and just blows people's minds.
Here's something that's kind of along these same lines. I remember when I was maybe 7, I think Super Mario Brothers 2 just came out. And we played it so much at my friend's house that driving in the car, I swore I heard the sound of like picking up a turnip and throwing it. Like I would hear the sounds of the video game nowhere near the video game.
What?
Yeah, I remember like hearing like the video game sounds when I was not playing. That's how much I played it.
Oh, I see what you're saying. That's a next level of like dreaming about the game.
Yeah, but it wasn't a night terror, and I wasn't having seizures, and I guess it could be an auditory hallucination if you want to go that far with it.
Yeah, I guess it could be. This ties into what you just said. Adding to the intrigue, apparently men in black were said to visit these machines, collecting data and analyzing the game's supposed psychoactive effects on the players. They ultimately removed the games one day. So after about a month, all these games vanish.
Just gone.
Taken back for who knows what reason. Never to be seen again. Supposedly the company associated with Polybius is a company called Sinneschlossen.
Sounds German.
Say that with me. Sinneschlossen.
Sinneschlossen.
Not a proper German word, Scott, but it appears to be a mistaken translation meaning sensory deletion or sensory deprivation.
Sensory deprivation.
Yeah.
No shit.
So now the urban legend is basically this German company has popped these games into Oregon with the purpose of creating sensory deprivation. But to what end?
That's crazy. You know, we say you can be lonely in a room of 300 people, but like, you know, you're standing at a video game cabinet where there's hundreds of people lined up behind you and your senses are isolated from everybody else. That's wild.
So far, before we go any further, do you believe any of this?
It sounds almost too fantastical to have been true. Like, I don't think the Germans would have anything to do with it. I could see there being like MIT or Harvard, or they want to see video games impact on the brain. I could see them doing something like that. But even in that world, I couldn't see those people, those scientists, doctors, whoever they would be, being capable of creating a video game that would be that goddamn interesting that people would line up to play it.
Yeah. I think that's how most of these urban legends go. Like, they hear something where it maybe a friend says, "Hey, I saw this guy pass out," and then the other guy goes,
Yeah.
"Well, let me add a story to it," and then another guy goes, "Let me embellish that story," and let's just keep passing this around.
That's what urban legend's all about. And then, this happened in Oregon. Like, oh, I heard it happened in Pittsburgh.
Right.
Oh, I heard it happened in Columbus, Ohio. Oh, well, what about that guy down in Houston?
Yeah, I wrote here, was this mind control like MK Ultra? Do you know what that is?
Refresh my memory. I know MK Ultra.
MK Ultra might actually be part of like people misremembering MK Ultra and putting it into this story. Like we were just talking about. Sometimes it's things you hear that just gets passed around and mixed into different memories. So MK Ultra was a secret CIA program. We're really into doing CIA stuff.
We have been. This is no was it Sonic Kitty?
Yeah, this is Acoustic Kitty.
Acoustic Kitty, that's right.
This is a secret CIA program that ran from the 50s to the 70s, aiming to develop mind control techniques using drugs, hypnosis, sensory deprivation again.
Yeah.
Maybe that's part of the correlation.
Yep.
And
This is LSD.
And LSD, yeah.
This was like Dr. Leary. Dr. Dennis Leary did this kind of thing.
Dennis Leary was the comedian.
Who is it with Dr.
Timothy Leary.
Timothy Leary, thank you.
I don't know that, there was Yeah, I don't think he was involved.
No, he wasn't.
I don't even know that Timothy Leary was involved in this. But
okay. He was a big LSD guy, though. Microdosing and shit.
Yeah. But supposedly this was all true. This MK Ultra supposedly is all true.
This has been declassified.
Yeah, 1975 was declassified.
So that's declassified in 75, and now here we are in 81, and like the urban legends are happening, and video games are becoming big.
Yep. So you're like, they're
Here we
doing it
are.
again. They're doing it again.
Here we go.
The man is doing it again.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen Polybius in pop culture?
It showed up in The Simpsons.
I can't believe you know that.
Yeah, it was in the background. They went to the arcade, and it was in the background there. And actually, that arcade box, it actually had like a Polybius badge on the front of it, like the top badge. At trade shows I've been to, like cons, people make like fake Polybius arcade cabinet badges.
I wonder if somebody has ever made a game, put it online, and tried to claim that this was the original game.
It has. Angry Video Game Nerd played it.
No way.
He did, yeah. He actually has like a pretty funny video about it. So if you go check out the Angry Video Game Nerd on YouTube, he does he devolves into insanity playing Polybius.
Oh, I got to see that.
Yeah, we'll check it out.
That's funny.
Yeah.
So evidently it appeared in Loki.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I didn't catch that. I didn't know anything about it, so it probably would have gone right by me.
I mean, if something happened in pop culture, guessing The Simpsons is a no-brainer.
Yeah.
Guessing Loki, no chance.
Well, we mentioned Loki last week.
Yeah,
right?
2 weeks ago because of DB Cooper.
DB Cooper, yeah. When Loki jumped out of the plane as DB Cooper and started that whole urban legend. So in 2017, 9 Inch Nails featured a Polybius arcade machine in their video for Less Than.
I don't know that one.
I don't know that one either. But that's cool. He just put in that arcade game. Like
Trent Reznor, he's a pretty clever guy.
That's clever. I like it. All right, so I got here. Despite extensive research, no concrete evidence of Polybius' existence has ever been found.
Well, that's how they want it to be.
That's how they want it. The man wants it to be that way.
That's right.
As urban legends usually take inspiration from other stories, skeptics suggest that the legend may have originated from a combination of real events in the early 1980s. So kind of what we were saying there.
There we go.
For instance, in 1981, 2 players in Portland fell ill on the same day. Supposedly this is true. One collapsed with a migraine after playing Tempest, and the other suffered stomach pain after a 28-hour marathon of asteroids.
And chili cheese dogs.
I think after an hour marathon of asteroids, I'd get stomach pains.
Yeah.
But as us smart people know, Scott, correlations do not equal causation.
Facts.
All right. Oh, this is interesting. Additionally, around that time, right, around the early 80s, the FBI raided several arcades in the area in Oregon, suspecting owners of using the machines for gambling. So have you heard about that?
I'm not surprised.
Okay, so what evidently happened is some arcade owners were like, let's go in and modify these games to not just be for earning points, but actually to be making money.
I've been to bars here in town where they have Texas Hold'em and 5-card stud. If you get the highest score, they'll pay you money from the bar.
Is that legal?
No, it is now. They have PA gambling. You can do that now, like skills games they call them. But back in the day when I was hitting the bars, it was not legal. No.
Okay, so yeah, they were trying this back
So
in the
here
day.
comes the Men in Black.
Here comes the FBI.
Well, but in this urban legend, there's some reality-based thing going on here.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. So the FBI were the Men in Black.
They were the Men in Black coming to raid these things.
We are cracking this wide open.
It just seems like the simplest answer is the right answer.
So I was, trying to get more information on this. There was a BBC show. Do you ever watch the BBC? As we get older,
Some of the things I watched for the Mona Lisa were on the BBC.
That's good shit on the BBC.
It's a lot more educational than what you're going to find on Fox.
Yeah, definitely. I think we were saying the other day, I can't remember, or the other month, we either said it on the show or said it to each other, or we never said it at all, and I just have a mismemory. Like, when I was a kid, if I saw Nova show up on the TV, I head for Z Hills. I wanted nothing to do with learning. Now, as I'm getting older, I'm like, teach me more. There's a show on Nickelodeon. There's a show on Netflix right now called Kunk on Earth, and it's a comedy show.
Okay.
And she goes around, her name is Kunk. First name I can't remember, I think she's Scottish. And she basically runs around to different places and does a history lesson, but she kind of misses a lot of facts and just makes shit up. And I love it. It's a perfect mix of learning something and laughing at the same time.
Well, the best thing about the BBC, they could be saying the same dumb shit that we say here, but it's in a British accent, so it sounds smarter.
It sounds much smarter, doesn't it? Yeah. Anything they say out there just sounds 10 times smarter.
Hello, governor.
Sounds smarter.
What's all he said?
Would you like a crumpet?
Tea and crumpets.
You do a good one. I tell you, I'm one of those dummies who go and pick up accents when they're
Yeah, we
hanging
talked
out.
about that.
Oh, I went to London. I was there for a week, and I started having an accent. And I could tell that they knew that I was an American. It must
Poser.
be like, yeah, that must be like, you asshole.
What a dickhead.
You asshole.
Bleating Yanks.
Oi, oi, oi.
Oi, oi, oi.
Hello. All right, moving on from bad accents. Anyway, so the BBC, they did a quick video on it on one of their shows.
Mm-hmm.
So they think they found the guy that created the myth. So we're really going to crack this open. All right, so there's a guy named Kevin Mannis, and he's from Oregon.
Of course.
So they think he's the possible originator of the Polybius myth. According to journalist Kat De Spira, you're a big fan of Kat De Spira.
No.
This guy Mannis has a history of creating urban legends, including the infamous Dybbuk box story, which became the basis for the 2012 horror movie The Possession.
So this guy's just full of shit.
Yeah, so this is early internet before we had YouTube and TikTok and all this shit. Now it's so easy to pass this stuff around.
Sure.
Back then, early internet, they think that he started this whole thing. So they were able
using Prodigy dial-up.
Yeah. So it says, Mannis, a former actor and writer, has a reputation for crafting interactive storytelling experiences that take on a life of their own.
So he's like a dungeon master that took it to the next level.
Yeah.
He got bored with D&D.
So they're basically piecing together that this guy had seen the illegal gambling, incidents where the FBI went in. He had seen some of these test boxes of arcade games that were just in black, and maybe he painted this whole thing together. So the show actually has them interviewing other people until they could finally get this guy's name, where somebody goes, oh, yeah, remember this guy, Mannis, who used to hang out? Like, he told me things. So eventually they're like, can you get us in touch with Mannis? So they got a video of them interviewing Mannis, and while he doesn't directly admit to inventing Polybius, he acknowledges that it's the kind of myth that he would have created. Like, they're like, did you create this? He goes, well, I can tell you it's the kind of thing I would have created.
This sounds like O.J. Simpson. Like, if I did it, this is how I would have done it.
Exactly.
You rat
being
bastard.
coy. Yeah.
Fucking.
So did you do it? Well, it's the kind of thing I would have done. Like, dude, give us a straight fucking answer. And he dodged and dodged and dodged. So it's very possible this guy made the whole thing up and is like, I don't want to give away the ending. I'd love that I created an urban myth. I'm already don't want to talk to you because I want this thing to be out there.
Why bury it? Yeah, I'm just a classic bullshit artist.
Yeah. Yeah. So I don't know. We might have discovered who came up with this awesome fraud.
Wow. A lot of fraud in today's show.
Today was a very fraudulent episode.
It certainly was. But it was an episode. We hit record. We're still talking.
Yeah, it's been 40 minutes.
People are still hearing it.
And we're about to wrap it up.
There you have it.
A perfect show.
Well, thank everybody for listening in. Tell a friend. And we'll talk to you next week.
Boys, I've been framed like the Mona Lisa, and you can print that.